Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Elle Studio, and I'm creating with the new December kit and add-ons. These are the goodies that I pulled aside to create this layout with. Some I use and some I don't, and this is the layout. So it's a large photo layout, and it's actually pretty digital heavy. Digital in that I created a border cut file using the December cut files, as well as those 4 3x4 cards that you see there are from the Wonderful Life printables. I'm going to use 3 of them whole, and then the one that has that gray circle, it says It's a Wonderful Life in it. I am going to just use that as an element and cut that up. So in order to back Fa La La, I'm going to use 4 pieces of pattern paper. You only see 3 here because I change my mind and add the 4th one later. But what I'm doing is I'm using the Wonderful Life stamp set, and I'm using this dot geometric, and I'm adding texture to this red piece of pattern paper, which is from the 6x6 patterned paper pack from last month. I wanted a little bit more texture to this, and so it actually mimics the same texture that is in that red 3x4 card. You won't see it in the video here, but when you look at the close-ups, you will see that texture, that same, it's not texture, but that pattern behind the red paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuss around a little bit with how I'm going to lay this out. I wasn't sure whether I wanted the photo on top or the photo on the bottom, and I don't know why I'm bothering, but I'm figuring it out now. And ultimately, I'm going to settle with that. And go from there. But I don't like that gap that's between the cards and the photo, but I need to figure that out. And so I figure, well, I'm just going to go ahead and back these, and then I can ponder that whole issue while I'm backing these. So the red and the green are from the 6x6 patterned paper pack from last month, and that yellow stripe is actually from I believe that is from the Disney collection that came out a couple of months ago. I wanted a little bit of yellow in this because I felt that the yellow popped the blues that were in the photo, as well as the yellow that was in the photo as well. So I'm literally going to cut a bunch of squares or rectangle squares, and I'm going to add color to the back of this file. So the file is actually Fa La La, right? Fa La La. I have to think about that. 2 laws. And so all I did was I repeated it along each edge and created a border with it. And I really like the way that it turned out. So about here is where I decide I really want a 4th color. And I think in part the reason I wanted the 4th color was because I didn't want each of the fas on the corner to be the same color. I wanted different colors for the most part, and I was able to achieve that by adding that 4th color. And so what that 4th color is going to be is end up being, again, a green. It's a lighter green with the green spotted lines that will go across the page, and that will be the 4th color that I end up adding. So this photo is when you look at the close-ups, I think you might be able to tell. It is a Tacky light tour house, and there are 3 silhouettes to the left side of that photo, the left third, and that is actually my husband, my son, and my daughter, the silhouettes of them. And so that is why it is the whole photo, so that you can see all of the Tacky and then the silhouette of them. So they are actually in the photo. This is going to take me a very long time to back this. And so I am really hoping that in the editing I sped ahead, but I did want you to see where I decide to add this 4th color in and spare you the boredom. But basically what I do with each card is I find the right size, and then I just cut a whole bunch of them, and I am using my liquid glue from ThermaWeb called Ultra Bond with its metal tip, and I'm just going to go ahead and outline a few of the major parts of the letters and then go ahead and adhere those down. So those of you who back digital cut files know that this is fairly time consuming. Fortunately, because they are just squares, it is a whole lot faster than it otherwise would be. But it's kind of rhythmic work as you just keep plodding along and adding these in. So there, I did. I fast forwarded through all of that and spared you the agony of watching me do that. So these are the 3 print and cut files or print files from the Wonderful Life printables, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with the placement of them as they are. The only yellow really in the layout is going to be or the bulk of the yellow is just going to be in bits and pieces throughout the layout, whereas the primary colors are kind of more of that red and that green. So those, I have 3 labels that I've pulled from the December labels. So my original plan was that I had the same color labels, so the red, the green, and the gray, and I was going to use those. Actually, my thought was originally that they would be underneath the photo and they would correspond, so there would be columns that moved down through the photo. So the column would start like that red column would start where it is, move down through the photo, and then one of those December labels would be underneath it, kind of like I have here, but I was only going to do 3. And now you can see I've decided to add 4, and I can't find, it feels like because of the black night that the photo is so heavy at the bottom, and I really need that white space between the cards to kind of break that all up. And so what I'm going to end up doing is I am going to put a few of those labels to the left-hand side and then create my title in there. So I'm pulling out some of the die cuts from this month's kit. I love this kit. That green, it's hard to see, but it says Savoring the Season. And then that gray that I chucked aside said It's a Wonderful Life. And then I'm just going to kind of fill that space. I want to put a little splash of yellow here and there, so I'm going to use the yellow star, as you can see there. And then I'm going to use some of the yellow puffy stickers that also are released this month. I love that there's yellow stickers. So that's the 4th card from the Wonderful Life printables, and I'm going to use that to decorate that green card there. I decided that the love, 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 love is where the journaling is going to go, and the date will go in that red card there. And those of you who know me know that I can't stand the pressure of journaling on camera. Very infrequently do I do that, so I am going to do that off camera. I wanted to wrap twine between the green and the white transition of that right-hand card. I initially thought that I would use the yellow, but it isn't quite the same really bright yellow. It's kind of more of a pastel yellow, and so I'm going to go with that green baker's twine, just wrap that a couple of times and use that just for a little splash of color on top of that green, and just add a little bit of visual interest to the card, which is really cool, but could use a little bit more color to it, just like that. And that way, when I pop the It's a Wonderful Life circle, it doesn't create the bump of the twine underneath. So by popping it, you can see how the whole thing's just kind of raised off and it meets that foam there. So a perfect way of not getting some wrinkle per se in that element that's going on top of the wrapped twine there. So I put these asymmetrically, again, just for a little bit of looseness to the layout, because I knew that these labels going in were not going to also be at exactly matching heights and or angles. And so this way it kind of created a little bit more looseness to the layout. So I want to put this label. This label is from the Cozy and Warm phrase sticker sheet. And I'm not sure how I'm going to make it fit, because it says being together is my favorite part. There it is right there. And I had a hard time, as long as it was, making it work in the spaces that I had, and it was too much of a contrast there. And so while I'm figuring that out, I've got this other label that says Twinkle Lights. Of course, it's Twinkle Lights. It's tacky Twinkle Lights, but it's Twinkle Lights. And so that's why I want to use that. So you can see me sort of struggling with, I really want to use this label. I want to use this phrase, but how am I going to make it fit in the confines of what I've created here on my layout? So I'm going to think about that for a little bit. And then I'm in the meantime going to start working on my title, knowing that my title is going to go there. And I think I was going to originally put Tacky Lights as the whole thing in yellow, but I don't know. It just, lights wasn't going to fit. So I had to come up with some other option. It's funny how titles on my pages often end up being dictated by what fits in the space that I've left myself. So that label wasn't going to fit. And so I have two problems now. I'm working on how am I going to get this phrase sticker in and like the way that it fits. And then how am I going to finish this title? Because tacky is not good enough. So I use my tweezers to pick this up and I'm like, too long for the label, but I can cut it and that'll be perfect. So cut it I did. And that ends up being absolutely perfect. But the angle that I have that sticker on, I have to cut off my and stick the my on the other half of the phrase and go with the together is my and then favorite part. Yay, solution. And so that is how that is going to go. So now I still have to figure out the title and what am I going to do. So I'm going to use one of the phrases from the Puffy, Everyday Puffy label stickers that says, this was awesome. And then I'm going to use a black ampersand from my Jane Alpha stickers and tacky. So this was awesome and tacky because that's exactly what this night was. Awesome and tacky. So we had actually been to our botanical gardens, Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens. If you're ever in Richmond, especially during the holidays, it is my happy place. I love the botanical gardens, and during the Christmas, it's all lit up. So we had been to Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens and seen the lights, and on the way home, this was on our way home, and we hadn't been yet. This was the day after Christmas, and so I convinced the kids and my husband that we needed to go, and that is what this is. So I'm using the numbers to put in the year, and then I'm going to use some of the document December stickers, or one, to put in the date, which was December 26th. And that, my friends, wraps this up. So enjoy the close-ups. Be sure to check out the affiliate link below and see if there's anything that strikes your fancy and that you need to pick up from this release today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying the holiday season. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.